Hello and welcome to the SOS Show Live with Mary Evans. I'm your host with a strong belief that there's power in sharing stories. SOS stands for Share Our Stories. This is a platform for Black people to share their stories raw and uncut. Thank you for listening. Today we have our amazing guest, Mr. Michael Napier. He's a retired officer after 35 years. Guys, it's a lot that I wanted to ask an officer, and I'm so grateful to have him on the show. So I want you to be a part of the show, ask questions, comment, share, and like. Before we start, I want to give some love to our sponsor for this show.
At Pontiac Meals on Wheels, our community-based service provides fresh, nutritious meals delivered directly to the homes of seniors and individuals with disabilities throughout the city. Meals on Wheels is happy to have partners that support our mission and vision. Pontiac Meals on Wheels depends on the generosity of many individuals, companies, foundations, and organizations to help provide nutritious meals and support services to the 400-plus homebound individuals we serve each year. Your gifts truly make a difference in their lives and their ability to remain living independently in the comfort of their own homes.
Hello, guys, help me bring into the show Mr. Michael Napier. Hello and welcome to the SOS Show Live with Mary Evans.
Hello.
You know, I have been one to interview a police officer or a retired police officer for a long time. It's just so many questions that's unanswered, and you being in the inside for over 35 years. And I was telling you earlier, we can't get to everything, and we're going to have different shows, part 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But today, I do want to highlight some very important things. First, I want to start with, when you decided that you wanted to be a police officer, I think you were in your 20s. Is that correct?
Yes, I was 24.
24. So that was right around 1976. Tell me, at 24 years old, because we know police officers are always have their life on the line. What made you want to be a police officer at 24 years old?
I thought it would be good for the community to have somebody of color, somebody the same as them, and somebody that would treat them like they were my brother, my sister, my uncle, you know, and find out what really happened.
Okay. So you started in Highland Park, is that correct?
Yes.
I want to talk about this because this is deep. You know, it's a lot of police brutality when it comes to Black and brown people. So I'm going to take you there. So I really want to get deep into this interview. I want you to tell me, you started in 1976. What was that like for you being a police officer, Black, on the force in 1976?
Well, for one thing, they really didn't want anybody Black there. And if you were Black, you had to prove to them that you were in their club, that, you know, you weren't going to talk about stuff that they do and how they handle situations.
Okay, so you did 35 years. Michael, let's talk about this. In your 35 years, okay, you say you felt like that they didn't want you there. So you went right into a job and they made it pretty clear to you that they really didn't want any Black officers to be in the precinct. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
Give me an example. What made you feel that way, Mr. Napier?
Well, the way I was treated, I wasn't, it was not like they really welcomed me. Like certain officers, they wouldn't even eat lunch with me. You know, they'd stay in the car. If I went to eat, they wouldn't even eat with me. The way they handled situations, you know, they were leery. They didn't know how I would respond to how they treated the people in the street. And they were right to be leery, really, because I wasn't gonna lie for anybody.
That leads me to the next question. When we talk about the unfairness in the way they treat us today in 2021, Michael, did you ever witness some of the things that we see today that's going on that was happening back then? Some people say it's always been going on. It's no worse. It's just now we have the phones and we're filming. What do you say over 35 years? Tell me, do you think is any worse? How were the black officers to the when it came to the black officers? How did they treat their own people? What difference did you see? Let's talk about that.
Well, when I first hired on, a lot of the black officers were even more brutal than white officers, because they had to prove to them that they were in their club, in the blue club. So I didn't want to, I wasn't going to try to prove anything to anybody. I was just going to do my job the way it should be done. And that's why they were leery of me, because I wasn't going to do that.
So am I hearing you say when a black officer was arresting another black, they could be just as brutal as the white cop because they were trying to prove a point to the white cops that I'm on your side? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
So in 76, not only was blacks dealing with the brutality from the white cops, they were also dealing with the same brutality from their own people because of a point they had to prove to the white cops.
Yes. To make sure they got back up on incidents and stuff, you had to prove to them that you were in their the blue fraternity, the blue gang.
So you witnessed this incident happening. Did you ever have an opportunity where you were able to help out someone of black that was being arrested? You knew they were being treated unfairly, because it sounds like they knew you were not one that was going to go along to get along. Did you ever at one point say, wait a minute, now that's enough?
Well, not when I was a rookie. I couldn't say much of anything. I just sat back and got out of the way.
So as a rookie cop, you really can't say anything. The only thing you can do is really witness what's going on. At that point, what if you did say something as a rookie? Would that mean you would lose your job?
Well, I'll be shunned, and it's not necessarily lose my job, but it would reflect on me with the other officers. I wouldn't get backup if I needed it or anything. But being a rookie, I always had to be with somebody. So that wasn't the problem right then and there, but it could be later when I'll be on my own.
Dude, this is so sad. And I'm really trying to get some questions that I know a lot of us, we have it on our mind, especially mothers of black sons. And I really want to hit you with some things that I always wanted to ask a cop. And one of the things, Michael, that I want to go to is when we talk about our boys and our sons. We know, being black, you can be shot hands up, hands down, laying down, a knee on your neck, kill you. What advice can you give to us, and particularly mothers and fathers with our children and our black sons out here? Because it seems like the white cops use the excuse that they're afraid. And I know we have a picture, and Donna Jean, I know how we said it, but this is getting deep. When they say we're afraid for our boys, what advice can you give to us to share with our sons, if any, for them to be safe? I'm almost lost for words, because it's very sad what we're going through. What would you say to a young man if they're pulled over by the police? What is something or some things that they can do to try not to escalate the situation?
You have to kowtow to the police. You got to do what they tell you to do.
What is that word you use?
Yeah, you got to do what they tell you to do. Don't make any moves. Don't keep your hands where they can see you. And because you survive, you can go later and make complaints, but don't try to complain to the officer that's handling the situation, because you don't know what kind of cop you're going to get.
I know some have said, they know their rights. What do you think about them saying, okay, I know my rights, and telling their rights to the police? Do you think that helped the situation, or it makes the situation worse to let them know how educated you are about your rights?
Oh, don't even say you know your rights, because you probably are right, but it doesn't matter, because they're going to kill you with the pen. That's what they make the report. You ain't making a report on what happened. They making a report. So just live for another day. Just do what they tell you to do. Don't argue with them.
So we have a meme that I wanted to show where different arrests when it comes to. So when we look at this, I'm sure you heard of this situation of the church. And when you look at the black gentleman versus the white church massacre, and my right blinker was out. Do you, it's just so sad to know that in 2021, we're still going through that, right?
Oh, it's so
What
sad.
do you think about when you see that? Because I'm sure over the years of 35 years, you did see that happening, and in 2021, it's still happening. Because you say, don't argue, don't say you know your rights. We have been killed shot in the back. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think can be done in the inside, or where do we start to change things? Because everything that you mentioned, we could pull up a situation where a black man did exactly what you said, and they're not here today.
Well, it's got to start with the whole system at the top, with the courts. They got to treat people fairly. They can't just say that the police officer's telling the truth and you're lying. The police word should not be like God. It should be held with what's believable, and not just whatever they say is true.
So you let me know if this question is too deep. But Michael, we know that certain incidents happen, and you guys sort of have a rule where you stick together, right?
Yeah, we don't snitch on each other. That's one of the things you never do. If you don't want to tell the truth, you say you didn't see it.
So that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
If you saw the killing, you do not tell the truth. You say, I didn't see anything. You just, because that's go against the rules. Whether the police officer was wrong, you still don't go against the officer.
You don't go against the officer. No.
This is amazing. It just is amazing. So that's why they get away with a lot of things as well. So when we see them go to court, 95% of the time you would say the ones that sit in the stand, they're lying. So when you look at this incident, right? Let's talk about this. So now you have a gentleman, they did the same thing, they took life, right?
Yes.
One is doing life in prison, and the other, and the cop, he was just fired from his job, right?
Right.
So now it makes more sense to me to see how do they get off, because they're all protecting each other, and they're not going to tell the truth, whether they've seen it or not, whether it's right or wrong. They're not going to tell the truth.
They're not going to tell all. They might say something that's true, but they're not going to tell anything that's going to get them in trouble. No.
So we had a young lady that went live a few weeks, a police officer, and she was saying, Michael, that she felt like that she was not protected when they would go out on runs like they would do a white officer, female officer. Did you ever feel like when you went out, when you went out on runs, you went out on different dangerous calls? Did you ever feel like that you were not protected as they would have if they were out with a white officer? Did you ever have those feelings?
Well, I didn't get a chance to get to that point because I wasn't by myself. I was always with another officer, but I was a rookie. So this is just as a rookie. No, I didn't.
Okay. You didn't. Okay. Tell us what is one of the worst incidents that you have experienced being an officer.
Well, I got shot by another police officer. He tried to kill me. I thought he was trying to kill me. What happened? I was riding with this officer named Will Schidester, and I was sitting in the patrol car, and he stopped at this cab dispatch office. And I'm sitting in the car, and he calls me up. So him being my partner, I'm like, okay, I better go up there with him, but I shouldn't have. That was one of the worst mistakes I made in my life. I went up to this cab dispatch office, and as soon as I got in there, Officer Jeffrey Jacobs, he started pointing a gun at me. Then Marszewski pulls his gun out. Then Schidester pulls his gun out, and they waving guns around, talking mess. And I'm saying, what the heck is going on? In my head, I'm saying, oh, I got to get out of there. I got to get out of there no matter what. This is not a good situation. I didn't pull my gun or anything because I was taught you don't pull your gun unless you're going to use it. So what happened? Jeffrey started focusing on me. Came up to me, said he should shoot me, and he put the gun up to my stomach, like he should shoot me. And I said, go ahead. I'm wearing a vest anyway, because I wanted to show him that I wasn't afraid of him, because that's what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to cry or beg for my life.
And this was another officer.
Yes, this was another officer. So then he puts the gun to my head and said, I should shoot you in the head then. I said, no, you ain't going to hit me. I said, if I had any sense, I wouldn't be up there. I said, go ahead, shoot me in the head, because I shouldn't even be up here. So, after all that, I still had my hands down where it looked like I could get to my gun. So I guess when I backed up, I said, well, I got to get out of here. So I was trying to get out of there, and I didn't want to show any fear to him because that's what he wanted. He was he was departmental bigot. He did several things. I rode with him before. He wouldn't even eat lunch with me. He wouldn't
because
even
you
go
were black. Now let's talk about when he shot you, Michael. After he shot you.
Oh, after he shot me, I fell to the floor, and he was jumping around the room like he won a basketball game or something. So I said, oh, shoot. I said, I'm going to get to my gun, and I'm going to shoot him. I said, so I try to move to my gun real slow, but, you shot, and I'm bleeding. I can feel the blood coming out of me and everything, and I didn't just snap to my gun. I was trying to ease to get to my gun, and evidently he saw me because he came down, he put his knees on me, and he put the gun to my head, and then I had to try to cool him out. I told him, oh, Jeffrey, I can't breathe, man. Take the gun from me.
So did Jeffrey do any time for shooting you?
He did one day. One day. He only shot a black man.
So you know what? It just like people say, we've been going through this for a long time. It's just now we're videotaping and everybody is seeing that. So you were shot by the officer. He served one day and got off.
Yeah, but he got fired. That's the only thing. He got fired.
He did get fired.
He didn't do no time. And that was in 76. And this
that's my next question. That was in 76. What do you see, or if you see any? Is it better for us? Do what you say in 2021? Is it worse, or do you say it's the same? And after this, Donna, put up a couple comments before we go there. So after this, I want to talk about this, and we're going to hit a couple comments. Now, this has been said that, listen to this. It says, repeat after me in training. You talked about that it should be better training. The police officer said this is what type of training is being done. I thought he had a gun. He reached for his waistband. I fear for my life. These 3 phrases will ensure that you can kill anyone you want and no jury will convict you. Do you agree with this?
Yes, I agree with it.
You do?
Yeah, that's what they say to get off. They would lie. They say, oh, I saw a gun. Or a lot of them are afraid. A lot of them shouldn't even be cops. If you're afraid of people because of the color of their skin, you shouldn't be a police officer, and they probably were afraid, but that doesn't give them a right to kill an innocent person, and just say, well, I thought they might have had a gun. They might have had. Did you see a gun? No, I didn't see a gun. Oh, I thought I saw a gun. Huh? Is that enough?
So, Michael, do you think it's more racism versus being afraid? Do you think some of these killings is because they are so hello T Nicole, hey Queen, that they really are afraid when they see a black man? Do you, because I always thought, I didn't, being afraid, saying you're afraid is an excuse. Do you think is a little bit of both racism and being afraid? Which one do you think is worse?
Both.
Are they more afraid or more racist?
It's both because they get away with it. It's both because they feel like they are white and the black person is beneath them. So that is racism, and it is no consequence to what they do. Even if they film, you see people get filmed and they got cameras and they still get away with stuff because they feel they entitled. They're white.
So we have Sheila Holmes that's listening tonight. She said the same code exists in the military, unfortunately. So they have the same code in the military. Yeah. Michael Napier said, "Hey, pops." So it's the same thing happening in the military. Hello, Regina. So listen, Michael, this is the thing. When we are definitely tired of seeing the police brutality when it comes to Black people, and some of us just feel so hopeless, helpless, and really believe that it'll never change. I was looking at an article that read that when you go back, and let's just go back for a minute to slavery, whenever a white man came across a slave, a Black slave running away, they've been brutalizing and treating us like this when we go way back. And do you think that it'll ever change? You worked in the system 35 years and you still telling me the same things that is current now that occurred in 76. Now that you are retired, tell me, do you think things have ever changed when it comes to Black brutality?
I all I can do is hope it will, because I see that you got so much stuff is political. One of the reasons why I retired is because of the guys I work with. They support Trump, and if somebody supports Trump, it makes them suspect to me, because he brings out all that hate and bigotry, and he got a strong following. Now the people that were on the were on the low with it, now they out front with it. And I'm saying, well, that's good. That's good. Now we know, but it needs to change. It needs to change.
So that's what made you retire is because of that. So I'm gonna tell you something. And you were married, and may your wife rest in peace, Miss Linda. This will be the last question we'll tie up today, because I'm gonna bring you back on. I was looking at some shows with officers that were married, and I want to do a show with some of the wives of officers. And the gentleman said one of the hardest things for him was going through the day, and it might be the end of your day and you are in an incident where you shot at or you were called to a domestic violence, and coming home to be with the wife and kids. He said it was just so hard for him to let that day go. How hard was it being married and raising the kids, being an officer, and you knowing all the things that can go out here? You know how officers are treating our Black children. How hard was it for you each day to come in and debrief before you get in the house and then become that father? Was that difficult to do?
Yeah, it is. Sometimes you carry it with you, and you don't want to talk. You're not as friendly. You're not a friendly person. You want time to be alone by yourself. But
that's exactly what he said.
The family needs you. They need you to be a father. They need you to be a loving father. They need you to be a loving husband. And a lot of times, after you see all this stuff, you just, you don't want to tell them about it, because it's enough. It's something you absorb yourself, because they're proud of you being a police officer. They think that it's something that it's not, but it ain't for you to to try to tell them how messed up certain situations can be, because like police officers are individuals. Some are good and some are bad. Even, there's a lot of good white cops. There's a lot of bad white cops. There's a lot of good, it's black and white. You got good and bad on both races. And that's just the way it is. We couldn't even do our job without the help of the public, because every police officer, and people don't realize this, we got the police from 500 to 1,500 people, one officer. Without good people, the police officers can never do their job. And we need good people. And people don't realize that. And because there are good people, we can do our job. But if you keep abusing people, they're going to turn on us eventually. And that's what's happening now. People want to dissolve police departments. They can't. They need the police. But they need the police to be civil. They need the police to show that they're compassionate for doing the right thing and not disregarding the right thing and doing their thing. That's the problem.
And I also was reading that now you can be a police officer and not live in the city where you're working. Is that correct?
And that's a deficit in a way, but you don't really have, like me, I work for Pontiac, but I live in Auburn Hills, but still that's close enough to the city where everybody know where I live. And so if I was to steal or take something from somebody, I put my family in jeopardy. So I would never do that. But a lot of these white officers live out in the suburbs and stuff. They got police calls for black people in the neighborhood. So they keep on black people as a suspicious person coming in their neighborhood. You can't even go to their neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So they can take whatever and no consequence. And don't worry about their families, because their families protected by that police department in their community.
That is something that I was reading up on. It was said that when police officers live in their community, they more vested in the community. They know families, they know the children. Some of the kids grew up with their kids, and it's just they believe that policing is totally different when that officer is working in the community where he resides, or like you say, close to the community where he resides. Well, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you. Like I say, we'll come on, we'll bring different topics. Guys, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please think of them. We're going to bring Mr. Napier back, because it's so much going on in the world today, and the black brutality just has to change. One thing you did, I always thought the white cops, how badly they treated us, but you're saying we have progress some, because back in 76, the black cops were just as bad as the white cops, because they worked more trying to prove a point to the white cops. So where we look back and see is no change, it just seemed like nothing has changed for us. I guess there is a little change that has happened since in the last 35 years. You made that very clear to me, because we look at it right now today and say, what really has changed for us? I really want to thank you for all the years that you did serve to protect the cities that you worked in, because cops' life is on the line every single day. And we want to thank you for that. I'm definitely going to bring you back on the show. Thanks for sharing your story with us. There's so many more questions I have for you, but we can't do all in one show. Please tune in with us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Hot Topic Tuesday. Next week, we have a great show. We're going to talk about crowdfunding and how Blacks can buy property and do things without going to the bank, begging the bank to approve them for different businesses. That's going to be a great show. And we all about Black wealth, Black economics, how we can elevate, leave a legacy, and build generational wealth. Thanks again for being on the show, and we'll see you the next time.
I thank you, and you have a splendid night or rest of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Napier.